Who is the best quarterback in Packers history? The options are wonderful, and while it seems like a tough debate between Hall of Famers Bart Starr and Brett Favre, as well as future first ballot Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers, there is an obvious answer. It's Randy Johnson, no, not that guy, whose 10-year career culminated in one start for the Packers in 1976. This guy had everything you could need from your quarterback. I mean, look at this guy. You want grit? Johnson had it. He threw for no touchdowns and an interception, but still found a way to win the game. He's just a winner. And that's the thing. Randy Johnson won 100% of his games as a Packer, minimum one game, and easily tops Rodgers' 66%, Favre's 63%, and especially Starr's measly 62%. Pretty hard to argue with that one. Where's his Hall of Fame jacket? Even though Green Bay may never reach those peaks again, on a nice summer day in 1991, the Packers said, hey, remember that Bart Starr guy? Let's do that again. And then maybe even a third time. And thus, since 1992, the Green Bay Packers haven't had a quarterback question. This season has challenged the Packers' 30-year streak of franchise quarterback play, and although Love isn't playing like a Hall of Famer yet, he's proved he has the ability to continue the Packers' legacy of quarterback stability. Love certainly didn't give Packers fans reassurance coming into 2023. After Green Bay traded back up into the first round to draft Love over future star Jalen Hurts, he didn't even see the field in 2020. Although he did see 10 games over the next 2 seasons, Love never really flashed star potential, always seeming like a young, underdeveloped kid thrown into the spotlight. His most notable achievement came in 2021, where he dropped a 13-7 loss against the Kansas City Chiefs while Aaron Rodgers was quarantined with COVID. Even with the best wide receiver in the game in Davante Adams receiving for him, Love couldn't produce. Due to the Packers' sustained success, however, they could never draft a different talented quarterback to test out, and thus continued to develop Love, and finally, Love is off the leash. It hasn't always been pretty, however, and Love's game has aroused mixed feelings. The beginning of 2023 was not kind to Jordan Love. Love consistently saw himself missing throws, aiming into the middle of nowhere. The entire Green Bay offense was out of sync, and Love's inconsistency was a key part of their issues. Especially when given the opportunity to go deep, Love was not confident in the pocket, just missing opportunities. His issues are best exemplified in a play like this one against the Broncos. Love intends to hit Jaden Reed on his wheel route out of the slot, and there's a brief moment where there is separation, but it's quickly swallowed up. Love isn't reading the field, instead throwing the ball at the top of his drop, which means that this read is entirely based on his pre-snap defense recognition. If Love is going solely off pre-snap reads, targeting the wheel route makes absolutely no sense. Kareem Jackson, the safety, is lined up directly over top of the wheel concept to the left, and there are no clear signs of deception or disguise of him rolling out. Jackson's safety shell over top should have immediately eliminated the wheel route from Love's mind before the snap, and yet he still threw it. Honestly, Love is lucky this wasn't intercepted, and he throws this holds the Packers back from realizing the potential through the first half of the season. Matt LaFleur's offense thus tried to keep hard reads and complex plays away, running a lot of ineffective screens and short routes, which goes against directly what Love excels at. Once LaFleur unleashed Jordan Love, it was off to the races. Love's ability to read defenses seemed to change overnight, and he began to slow the game down in his mind. Love's mental ability finally matched his physical tools, making him quickly become one of the more effective quarterbacks in the league. Love began to produce more off-schedule, succeeding against pressure. He began to be confident in his reads and be decisive, which allowed Green Bay to make the playoffs. Running plays like this one, in which there's a play action from under center, means that the quarterback has to take his eyes off the defense, and unless the play is extremely long developing, the quarterback has to rely on his pre-snap read to know where to throw the ball. Before the snap, Love has his eyes on Romeo Doubs in the slot. Once he hits the top of his drop, Love checks Doubs to ensure that his pre-snap read was correct, and when he sees a desperate man coverage, he knows it was perfect. Love then throws with identical form to Aaron Rodgers to Doubs, who gets plenty of yards after catch for an amazing gain. The scariest part of Love's quick emergence as a franchise quarterback is his it factor, where Love seems to always make it work, no matter the circumstance. This play on Thanksgiving ended up being the go-ahead score for Green Bay, sealing an upset win against the Lions in front of the entire nation. America's first solid taste of the Love to Watson connection was a game-sealing touchdown and an omen for things to come in Green Bay. A quarterback connection with their number one receiver can make or break an entire offense. Some of the most dynamic duos of the last decade dominated due to their intimate understanding of the game from each other's eyes. Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown, and Andy Dalton and AJ Green were all extremely diverse examples of the importance of chemistry. Dalton, for example, may not be a legend of the game, but his connection with Green made the Bengals' offense surprisingly effective. Every young quarterback needs a wide receiver one to develop with. Fortunately for Jordan Love, Christian Watson can offer that connection. The very first play of the Thanksgiving game was a sign of the chemistry between the two. Love just checks the free safety on top to ensure this pre-snap read is correct, then puts the ball up for his guy to make a play. If Love wants to find true success in the NFL, he has to be willing to trust his guys to make a play. And his relationship with Watson is the earliest sign of Love trusting his receivers and shedding some of the offensive responsibility. The NFL should be scared if Love and Watson can get comfortable together. What's even more terrifying is that Watson is far from the only talented pass catcher on the roster. Love has a wide variety of receivers to target, and switches targets between Luke Musgrave, Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, and Romeo Doubs. In their destructive win over the Cowboys, it was Doubs who got the connection, bringing in 151 yards alone. With so many young, talented receivers around him, Love can continue to grow alongside them, and the Packers should be applauded for their commitment to finally investing in their receiving core. The Green Bay Packers' process to achieve another consecutive quarterback is impressive and lays a blueprint for success for other teams. The Packers invested in a young quarterback when they assumed Aaron Rodgers would be beginning to decline, and then while they were wildly wrong about Rodgers' career projection, they were still able to move on from Rodgers while still having Love as their youthful heir. The Packers, knowing that they had an answer beyond Rodgers' reign in Green Bay, could invest in the rest of the team instead of scurrying for a quarterback once he left, which is why they're primed for such a great future. Despite the heartbreaking loss this weekend, the Packers should see this season as a win, as they found a solid answer for their quarterback going into 2024 and beyond, meaning their capital can go into tackling other weaknesses of the team. There's a solid chance Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender yet again in the next few short years, as long as Love plays how he did in the second end of the season, and the NFL is not ready for such a quick turnaround in Titletown. The Packers' biggest obstacle in between them and a dynasty lies in Jordan Love's contract. Love is a player who already used up his cheap rookie contract, and while next season he's only on a bargain of $13 million, Love is in line for a large contract, and the quarterback market has absolutely exploded. Love's contract negotiations will be a tense battle between two camps. The Packers will likely argue for a deal with a similar outlook as Geno Smith's. The baseline of Geno Smith's contract is small sample recent success that has earned a longer-term deal. Although his second half of the season was fantastic, that first half exemplified a massive sense of volatility, and the Packers will refer to Smith's contract for the volatile but still potential-filled Love. Geno earned an AAV of $25 million, but his age was a detractor, as Smith would be 35 in his final contract year. So when considering Love's relative youth to a deal like Geno's, he will get more years and a higher AAV. If the Packers camp comes out on top with Love this offseason, a deal of about 5 years, $165 million at $33 million AAV will be likely. His AAV would be close to Jared Goff, which is another volatile quarterback who signed at age 24 and upgrades upon the recent precedent of Geno Smith. Love's amazing second half for the 2023 season will be the object of discussion, as that's the turnaround that allowed the Packers to make the playoffs and fight down to the wire with the 49ers. If Love and his agent, David Mulugheta, can convince the Packers of Love's upside being sustainable, the deal will look largely different. Love will argue rather than Geno Smith, Daniel Jones as a much better starting point, as he's undeniably better than Daniel Jones. While Jones' contract was a bit of mastery by another athlete's first agent, Love's upside is much larger than Jones. Jones also signed at 25 and earned a $40 million AAV. Due to the smaller sample size of Love's success, he likely won't be able to break the barrier of $43 million set by Josh Allen, who's had more consistently production, but also is a bit volatile. Love's extension will likely fill in to be more along the lines of 5 years, $212.5 million at $42.5 million AAV if this camp were to win. Spotrac is much more optimistic, but projects a 4-year, $179 million contract at a $44.8 million AAV. The price is reasonable when looking at Love's late season success, but it's a risk of unproven performance being compensated for. If the Packers are actually all in on Love and willing to break the threshold of Josh Allen's contract, Love will likely make much more than Spotrac's projected contract, as the years will be longer and the AAV will certainly be higher. The answer lies in Love taking this year instead like a prove-it deal. Green Bay has expressed interest in keeping Love around, and the fans have begun to buy in completely. But if Love wants to capitalize on the exponential quarterback market, he'd be wise to produce at this level over a larger sample size, as a year and a half of elite play will easily help make Love above $50 million a year. So likely, we will see him extend next season at a much larger deal.